remembering those that perished on the sinking of the RMS Titanic on April 15, 1912. The information provided was obtained and used from findagrave.com. This video contains passengers with the last name starting with L. The remaining passengers will follow shortly. The Lautinen family. Husband, Reverend William Lautinen, age 35, born in Finland. Wife, Anna Amelia Sylfin Lautinen, age 34, born in Michigan. They traveled to Finland to visit family. Anna's cousin wanted to immigrate to America and decided to travel with them on their return to Minnesota. During that time, Anna's daughter got sick and they had to postpone their voyage. Anna's daughter never recovered and passed away in March. After the funeral, they booked their voyage on the Titanic. Anna boarded the lifeboat, but decided to stay with her husband, giving her seat to her cousin. Anna's cousin survived, but William and Anna did not. Neither of their bodies were recovered. The next victim is Christina Sofia Laitinen, age 38, born in Finland. She was a third-class passenger and was traveling to New York. Christina perished in the sinking and her body was never recovered. Her occupation was listed as a housekeeper. The next victim is Len Lam, age 22, born in Hong Kong. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to New York. Len's occupation was listed as a seaman and was accompanied by 8 fellow sailors. Len perished in the sinking and his body was never recovered. The next victim is John Lamb, age 31, born in Ireland. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to Rhode Island. John perished in the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Patrick Lane, age 16, born in Ireland. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to New York. It was speculated that he was wanting to become a Marine. Patrick perished in the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Joseph Philippe Lemercier Laroche, age 25, born in Haiti. He boarded the Titanic along with his wife and children. They were an intershade couple. Joseph was the only victim of African descent on the Titanic. They were traveling to New York. As the ship was sinking, Joseph stuffed his coat with money and jewelry, and got his pregnant wife and children loaded on the lifeboat. Joseph's body was never recovered or identified. His cenotaph is located in France. The next victim is August Victor Larsson, age 29, born in Sweden. He was married, had 1 daughter, and was a locksmith residing in Connecticut. August's wife was in poor health, and he returned to Sweden. Returning back to Connecticut, he boarded the Titanic as a third-class passenger. August perished in the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. Damage claims was paid out to his wife and daughter in the amount of £275 or $1,360. The next victim is Bengt Edvin Larsson, age 29, born in Sweden. He was traveling to Connecticut or New York, but his destination was unclear. Bengt boarded the Titanic as a third-class passenger. He perished in the sinking and his body was never recovered. The Mansion House Fund paid £48 or $237 for loss of life and £50 or $246 in damages. The next victim is the Lefebvre family. Mother, Frances Marie Anselme Daumont Lefebvre, age 40. Daughter, Mathilde Frank Marie Joseph Lefebvre, age 12. Daughter, Jeannie Frank Marie Joseph Lefebvre, age 8. Son, Henri Frank Marie Joseph Lefebvre, age 5. Daughter, Ida Frank Marie Joseph Lefebvre, age 3. They were all born in France. The family boarded the Titanic and were third-class passengers. They were traveling to Iowa, where Frances's husband was working as a coal miner. Frances had 3 children with her husband prior to their marriage, and 6 more would follow. The 3 eldest children were all born at 2 in the morning. This would be the same time that they all perished on the Titanic. Their bodies, if recovered, were never identified. After the sinking, the husband was notified of their deaths, and he appealed it. The husband was later arrested after the information given was unintentionally exposed. He entered America under misleading and false statements. Later, he came back to America and was deported back to France once again. The next victim is Antti Gustav Laininen, age 32, born in Finland. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to New York. Antti perished in the sinking and his body was never recovered. The next victim is Petro K. Lemperopoulos, age 29, born in France. His occupation was listed as a general laborer. Petro boarded the Titanic as a third-class passenger and he was traveling to Connecticut. He perished in the sinking and his body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 196. Petro was buried in Canada. The next victim is Dennis Lennon, age 20, born in Ireland. He worked at a pub and met a woman there. They fell in love and made plans to run away to America together, where they planned on marrying. They booked on another ship, but due to the coal strike, they were transferred to the Titanic. They signed in as brother and sister. Her brother discovered their plans and ran after them, just in time to see the Titanic cast off. They both perished in the sinking. The next victim is James Lester, age 40, born in England. He boarded the Titanic and was accompanied by his 3 nephews. They were third-class passengers and were traveling to New York, then on to Michigan thereafter. They all perished in the sinking and his body was never recovered. James was married and his cenotaph is located in England. The next victim is René Jacques Levy, age 36, born in France. His occupation was listed as a chemist and he had immigrated to Canada. He was married and had 3 daughters. René returned back to France to attend a family funeral. He was booked on another ship, but transferred to the Titanic instead. René was a second-class passenger. He told another gentleman, pointing at a lifeboat, quote, "I'm sure, if they lower these boats, the falls will be too short. Of course, I would prefer to go down with the ship, rather sitting in one of these boats," unquote. René perished in the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Irvin G. Louis, age 30, born in Arkansas. He was a first-class passenger and was traveling to Illinois. Irvin perished in the sinking, and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Robert William Norman Layson, age 25, born in England. He was traveling to New York to join his brother. Robert was a second-class passenger and his body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 108. He was buried at sea on April 24, 1912. Robert is remembered on a brass plaque in Wales. The next victim is René Aim Levens, age 24, born in Belgium. He decided to become a farmhand in the United States to help harvest the sugar beets. René boarded the Titanic, along with fellow inhabitants from his area, and were third-class passengers. He perished in the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Eric Gustav Lindeberg-Lind, age 42, born in Sweden. He was a first-class passenger and boarded under the name Edward Lindgray. Eric's body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Agda Thorilda Victoria Lindahl, age 25, born in Sweden. She traveled to Sweden to bring one of her sons back to New York, where she resided. However, he refused to travel, and she had to return back alone. Agda boarded the Titanic and was a third-class passenger. Per White Star Line, she was traveling to Washington. Agda perished in the sinking and her body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Augusta Charlotta Lindblom, age 45, born in Sweden. She was persuaded by letter to join her sister in Connecticut. Augusta boarded the Titanic and was a third-class passenger. A woman who got to know her while traveling stated that Agda was afraid of everything. Agda locked herself into her cabin and went to bed. She perished in the sinking, and her body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is the Lindell family. Husband, Edvard Bengtsson Lindell, age 36. Wife, Ellen Gerda Persson Lindell, age 30. They were both born in Sweden. The family wanted to immigrate to Connecticut and boarded the Titanic as third-class passengers. As the ship was sinking, the family, along with other passengers, struggled to get up the sloping deck, clasping hands. They all slid back down, landing near a collapsible boat. Edvard and another gentleman climbed into the boat and saw Ellen in the water. Edvard grabbed her hand, but was unable to get her aboard, and she drifted away. Ellen's wedding ring slid off her finger, and Edvard was left clutching it. Within 30 minutes later, Edvard passed away, dropping Ellen's wedding ring in the boat. The ring was found on May 13, 1912, and given to Ellen's father. The Mansion House Fund paid £48 for the loss of life and £75 for damage claims to each of the parents. The next victim is Michael Linehan, age 21, born in Ireland. He was traveling to New York, where his brother resided. Looking to a better future, he boarded the Titanic. Michael perished in the sinking. The next victim is Li Ling, age 27, born in Hong Kong. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to New York, along with 8 other colleagues. Their occupations was listed as seamen. Li's body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is John Lingane, age 61, born in Ireland. After his wife passed away, John traveled back to Ireland to visit family. Returning back home, he booked on the Celtic, but decided to take the Titanic instead. He boarded the Titanic as a second-class passenger. John perished in the sinking, and his body was never recovered. He is remembered on his wife and one of his sons' headstone in Michigan. The next victim is Wenzel Linhart, age 27, born in Austria. He was a third-class passenger, and Wenzel perished in the sinking. Wenzel's body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 298. He was buried in Canada. The next victim is David Libshin, also known as Abraham Harmer, age 24, born in Russia. His occupation was listed as a jeweler. David boarded the Titanic under the name Abraham Harmer. It is believed that he bought his ticket from a third party. David perished in the sinking, and his body was recovered by the Carpathia. He was buried at sea. The next victim is the Lobb family. Husband, William Arthur Lobb, age 30. Wife, Cordelia Stanlick Lobb, age 33. They were both born in England. The family boarded the Titanic and were third-class passengers. William's occupation was listed as an engineer. They both perished in the sinking. William's body was never recovered. Cordelia's body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 55. She was buried at sea. Their cenotaph is located in Pennsylvania. The next victim is Edward Thomas Lockyer, age 19, born in England. He boarded the Titanic and was a third-class passenger. Edward's occupation was listed as a grocer assistant. He perished in the sinking, and his body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 153. Edward was buried at sea on April 24, 1912. The next victim is Milton Clyde Long, age 29, born in Massachusetts. He was a first-class passenger, and he perished in the sinking. Milton's body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 126. He was buried in Massachusetts. A picture of Clyde's pocket watch is included with his obituary. The next victim is Joseph Holland Loring, age 30, born in Illinois. He was a first-class passenger and was accompanied by his brother-in-law. The men were in the smoking room when they felt the Titanic vibrating and going very fast. They headed to the upper deck, wearing life belts. They stripped their clothes off, preparing to dive overboard. Joseph hesitated. They shook hands and his brother-in-law jumped. Joseph also perished in the sinking and his body was never recovered. A memorial service was held on April 25, 1912. Joseph's estate was valued at £41,786 or $203,000. The next victim is Charles Louch, age 49, born in England. He boarded the Titanic along with his wife and were second-class passengers. They were traveling to California to visit his brother. Charles perished in the sinking and his body was recovered by the McKay Bennett and listed as number 121. He was buried at sea the next day. The next victim is John Hall Lovell, age 19, born in England. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to Michigan. John perished in the sinking, and his body was never recovered. His occupation was listed as a farmer. The next victim is Johan Svensson Lundahl, age 50, born in Sweden. His occupation was listed as a tailor by trade. He returned to Sweden with his wife and daughter and planned on returning back to Washington in 3 years. However, Johan got homesick and decided to return back and his family would travel at a later time. Johan was a third-class passenger, and when the Titanic hit the iceberg, he returned to his cabin to die. Johan's body was never recovered. The Mansion House Fund paid £148 for loss of life and £275 in damage claims to his wife and daughter. The next victim is Stanko Lintikov, age 43, born in Bulgaria. His occupation was listed as a general laborer. Stanko boarded the Titanic and was traveling to Iowa. He perished in the sinking and his body was never recovered. If you like this content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel at MeTime806. Thank you very much.